Greetings, everyone. I'm Yogi Chris, and I'm here today to talk to you about one of the breakthroughs the students had in the Yoga for Sorcery program dealing with breathing. And it's been a long while since I've been practicing breathing, and I sometimes forget some of the early moments, and I take them for granted, even though I still get them, like this next thing. You know, the sensation of, let's say, a splinter nags at you. It's just a little thing. You have like 70 trillion cells in your body, and you have like this one little area that like a splinter is, and it irritates like everything. You know, if there was an injury, if you like cut off the tip of your finger or something, like fuck, that would just like so disturb everything. And that's just a little bit of sensation, you know, little thing in the eye. Just a little sensation can be tremendously negative, but it could also, those positives are available too. There's areas in the lungs where just a little pocket opens up and there's a tremendous sensation there, and it feels good because taking fresh air into the lungs, it feels good. Like that sense of stretching of the lungs, it feels good. Like what doesn't feel good is little cramps of muscles. What doesn't feel good is feeling like you're not getting enough air. Or, you know, if you got something going on in the sinuses, like there could be negative feelings, but the feeling of the lungs expanding and taking in fresh air feels good. Now, if there's an area of the lung that hasn't opened in a while, it's going to feel freshly good. I call it virgin lung tissue. And it may not even be virgin lung tissue, because what happens is you tense up over the course of your life, both psychologically because of resistance to what's happening, and so there's like emotional closing to protect, but then also through lifestyle choices of what you're doing repeatedly, like how to use your arms. Do you drive a lot? Do you text and type a lot? Do you repeat activities a lot? Are there any injuries that have happened throughout your life, like something to the shoulder or whatever, that maybe you got surgery and never fully opened it back up again? These things just accumulate. Unless you get into yoga or something, you're not going to release the trauma or the tension around that. And even if you never had an injury, like using the word trauma is too extreme, but just the closures or the tension around the rib cage inhibits the lungs from expanding. So even if you take a full deep breath, there's a lot more available to you if you learn to relax all the muscles in between the ribs, the chest muscle, the muscles of the shoulder blade that attach to the ribs. Like as those elongate, more space is available for the ribs to expand, which is what pulls in the inhale. The inhale is actually not a pulling in. The inhale is use your muscles to expand the ribs and create a negative pressure, so the pressure of the atmosphere pushes in. That's actually an in-breath. You don't suck air in. Unless it's the very end of your in. But even that is, you're just making space and the atmosphere is pushing air in, and you're feeling that. It's a trip. If you really think about it, that's the physics of in-breath. So anything that inhibits you making that space, that negative pressure, where you increase the volume but there's less air, so the pressure goes down, so then the atmosphere pushes in. That's inhibiting lung expansion. Now, you can exert too much effort to try to expand the lungs. That's where you get cramps. You can create imbalances around the spine because of how we've learned to use our diaphragm compared with our shoulder. Like there's a lot of breathing muscles. The diaphragm's the main one, but it's also the main atrophied one from how we sit and live our lives. And again, with the like animals don't have emotional, like you can't scare them with an idea. You have to scare them with a real thing. Like, but people can get scared at ideas, the threat of loss or something, and they close to that. Like, so this is this weird psychological phenomenon of humans. We reverse release those things by just mechanically opening the body, and we'll start to psychologically see the thoughts that have closed the body as we release them. This is a natural process. So that's why yoga is a science and has a philosophy accompanying it. But it's this Hatha yoga, physical yoga, is this physical manipulation of breathing, muscles, tissues, and their reverse effect on the mind and the psyche. And we start to see things for what they are instead of like getting them all crossed in our nervous system. That's some yoga, that's confusion, it's ignorance, you know. And So it's a journey. Learning breathing's a journey because it's going to flare up things in the mind, memories that so that's why you want to ease into breathing practices. What I showed in the Yoga for Sorcery program is just an innovative way to isolate the diaphragm so they can start to rewire how they breathe, what muscles you use to breathe. That way, when you're in deep trance, deep meditation, doing their sorcery practices, that your body has been patterned, it's been trained to breathe in a way that's going to give you the longest sustainable attention span. So it keeps the breath going while you're in deep trance. Because what happens is people trance, they stop breathing. And then they'll take a deep breath and meditate. Whoa, you were under breathing, dude. You're acidifying your body. That's going to create a cancerous environment, whatever. You want to keep oxygenating. But breathing practices are better than just exercise because exercise keeps a lot of tension around the ribs. So you're never going to fully expand what could be available there. So what happened to the student and everybody, but he reported on the wonder of it, is it's like after you did so many breaths of this breathing practice, it's like all of a sudden I took a much bigger breath. Yes, that's breaking through to the next level of lung expansion. You'll feel things unstick. And as a pocket of alveoli is what they're called, these pockets in the lungs that the air touches and it through osmosis or whatever, through a membrane, not osmosis, through a membrane the air goes because there's got to be some infusion of that air into the blood. How does it mix? It goes through the alveoli of the lungs. But they get stuck together and they don't open. And if there's not enough space for them to open, they just don't unstick. It's like having two wet pieces of paper slapped together or something. No, because they tear. But you know what I'm saying. Two wet pieces of plastic. And you got to open them up. And that's quite an experience. It comes through patience, the kind of breathing I show, relaxation, how to stretch to open up the chest specifically without hurting. I mean, people overstretch their chest to try to open it up. There's ways to do it that will be effective and efficient. So again, Yoga for Sorcery program, it's $97 a month. I teach twice a week. You get all the recordings from the past, which builds up to, home practices. These are not your typical yoga classes. This isn't like you go to some vinyasa flow. I teach vinyasa, but it's different. It's deeper. It's like straight from Himalayas. Even though I didn't come from the Himalayas, but I got some teachers and I'm tapped in. If you know Frank White, we're fucking tapped in. So how it's taught is just a few things at a time, and then you go and practice. And there was one other thing I wanted to say. Also, if you're not a sorcerer, don't let that intimidate you. If you don't meditate, don't let that intimidate you. These are the physical practices that I have used and distilled down into just a core base that keeps it well-rounded, keeps it sustainable, keeps me interested, and keeps me doing incredible things that people still drop their jaw when I'm around. And I'm like, dude, I don't even really practice that much anymore. But it's the capabilities of the human body are just right there. They're right on the other edge of your, on the other side of you not knowing what to do with your body. And I have the techniques to show you and the guidance so that you don't hurt yourself. So click the link in the description or wherever I post this. I might post this on Instagram also. And shout out to Frank White, my brother, for the opportunity and opening up your class to my people or opening up your people to my class rather. And then also this goes on my yoga YouTube. So all my yoga people, jump on Yoga for Sorcery. This is going to be better than any other yoga program you've ever likely taken online. Unless it was with one of my teachers, but they're narrow in what they do. I'm general, younger. I'm on the pulse of society. You catch it? All right, namaste, everybody. Os.